Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skipdown, and this is the 52 must-see movies and why they matter. And once again, this week, my co-host is Mr. Stephen Billings, and we are going to be discussing an absolute classic from 1936 called Swing Time, starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Stephen and Andrew did an episode where they were talking about a musical, and then Stephen and Andrew, I did Singing in the Rain. So I think this is maybe the third or fourth musical that we've done, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Stephen, what do you think about Swing Time?
This was the first time I've seen it, and I think this is the oldest musical on in this list, 1936. So I'll say for the time period, I thought that the numbers, the musical numbers, the dance numbers are really well done, really well directed. But getting into the plot, which we'll get into more, I'll say the plot is a little contrived, a little bit thin. But other than that, it's a fun time. It's not Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain, I think, is the best musical on this list. But still a fun movie. I don't know that I agree that it's that essential, but we'll get more into it.
Yeah, so we have the rest of the cast is of course I said Fred Astaire plays Lucky Garnett, or John Garnett, as he's said. Some people call him John, some people call him Lucky. Ginger Rogers plays Penny Carroll. Betty Furness plays Margaret Watson. We also have Victor Moore, who plays Pop. And we have a few other actresses and actors in the film. Characters. Ricky Romero is a conductor. Mabel Anderson is kind of like the right hand, woman helper lady to Penny Carroll. So we have a lot of these. I'll be honest with you, a lot of these actors and actresses I'm not familiar with, and you and I both watch a lot of classic movies, and I'm not really familiar with them that much. And the director's name is George Stevens. I don't know a lot of his films either. The music, the guy that kind of puts all the music together in the film, Nathaniel Shilkret, and the producer is Pedro Berman. Any of these names ring a bell? Do they help you make sense of the story in this movie a little bit more or less, or what do you think?
No, I'm not, like I said, it's the first time I've seen the movie. Yeah, I don't really recognize any of them names. This is definitely one that it's not has never really been on my radar until came across it on the list. So
yeah, absolutely, same here. Of course, we're both familiar with Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. I mean, how could you not if you're a cinephile if you don't know those two? But
I'll say that technically the first time I technically indirectly heard of this movie or seen anything from this movie was in another movie called The Green Mile. If you remember the beginning of The Green Mile, you have Tom Hanks in the present day. He's old and he's sitting there in the retirement home, and this movie starts playing with one of the musical numbers, and that's where my first scene, without even knowing, first time I saw Swing Time. So.
Yeah, absolutely right. I forgot all about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm in heaven.
Yep. Oh yeah. All right. So the movie starts out with Lucky John Garnett. He's engaged to get married. He's about to go to his wedding, and he gets the old wedding jitters.
Well, yeah, and he's also surrounded by the worst friends ever. But yeah.
Yeah, he's a business. He's in show business, and he decides to leave show business because he's going to get married to Margaret Watson, in the film. And this is, I know, this is a plot device. We know this is a plot device because we're going to get into this before the end of this episode. And he's a gambler. And so he gambles a lot. And sometimes, he has a nickname. His nickname is Lucky. So the guy has this penchant for winning a lot. So he kind of decides, I'm going to go see if I can hit it big in New York City. And he leaves Margaret, basically, just before they're about to get married. Stephen, we've seen this in movies before, but 1936 movie, this is kind of a interesting plot for a movie that old, because we've seen it, 2 or 3 other times since then, 4 times maybe, I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's very much and this plays back into the what I was saying at the beginning about the plot being a little contrived, a little bit thin. Like, the situation itself is set up in a very over the top, unrealistic, way where, he's supposed to make it to his wedding. His friends hold him up, and when he finally makes it, everybody's already left, and the bride to be and father are the only ones left, and they go in. He's upset at him at first, but then he's like, "But I make a lot of money," and then he's like, "I respect you for that," and he's like, "What if I make this much money? Will it be okay if I marry your daughter?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, $25,000, okay."
Yeah. So, needless to say, he goes to New York to try to get the $25,000. And the thing is, he meets a young woman played by Ginger Rogers. Her name is Penny Carroll, and they hit it off. And he starts teaching her. She starts teaching him how to tap dance. And so,
which he kind of already knows how to do.
Yeah, well, he kind of plays it coy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, I like this girl. This girl's, So he gets an invite with her to this casino / nightclub. They have to wear a white gown and a dinner jacket. All right. And that's where we get the first song of the movie, which is a real snappy song. I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed this song when I was watching the movie. I was like, wow, pick yourself up, Yeah, I got this song. What did you think of this song and how they ended up meeting and then getting into this casino and dance club?
Yeah, all the songs. I think that, as you're saying at the beginning, all the songs really are the strength of the movie, and really what this movie is mostly known for, in the history of cinema is that the dance numbers and the songs are really well done, really well directed, especially for 1936. And yeah, they're really delightful, very catchy, and there's the actors bring a lot of personality to it. It doesn't feel like it's a play. It feels fluid. It feels right. The actors do a really good job of not only performing, but also bringing their characters into the performance of the dance and the song.
Yeah. And so before they end up doing, he ends up playing a guy who's down on his luck and cards. And he ends up playing the guy for his tux. Yeah. So that he ends up getting the tux because he beats a guy at cards. All right, then something goes wrong when they're dancing, and they get Penny upset, and they end up walking in the hallway with signs, unfair to Penny. So something they did to Penny got her upset. They have to walk the hallway with these unfair signs. I mean, I thought that was kind of funny. It was like out of nowhere, these guys are like walking around the hallways with these signs that like, geez, I'm Pete, man. She's not giving these guys a break. It was Pop and John / Lucky.
Yeah.
And then another song in the movie, which, this is before we started the video of this episode, you brought it up. The Way You Look Tonight. Wow. Once I heard that song, I was like, wow, what a beautiful, just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of this song from this movie. I mean, it's just, they're like, wow, how did I not know this song was in this movie before I started watching the movie? And that's what's great about these films is you go back and you think, oh God, this is such a catchy and beautiful song.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times you'll either be like on a, watching the previews before one of your Blu-rays or DVDs, and they show like the montages of like all the things and, like classic moments in cinema history. And then this movie gets a lot of them little clips like that, like in montages and, has having moments like the one song that's coming up, Cheek to Cheek, is one of the big songs in the that kind of gets to play, which is in the clip from Green Mile. That song is kind of the one of the big popular songs.
Well, the thing is too is the conductor of the casino. The name of the casino is the Silver Sandal Casino / Hotel, and he's really good. And he doesn't want to play, and so Lucky ends up playing the owner of the casino, and ends up winning the contract for Ricky Romero, the conductor of the orchestra, so they have to play the song, and he has to do with what he says.
Well, he still kind of has to basically make him do it.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. So it's like he keeps playing these people in cards, and it keeps going his way, and that's the theme so far out of this movie is like he is lucky, things keep going his way. Then they end up taking a vacation to the New Amsterdam, which is like a lodge in the middle of some snowy winter wonderland. And, and it's snowing and it's windy and it's beautiful. I mean, it couldn't be more picturesque. This place that they went, the New Amsterdam, and another song that comes up is A Waltz and Swing Time. No, I mean, my bad. The way, A Waltz and Swing Time. They sing it in the snow, and they're walking around in the snow at this winter lodge. And Lucky says to Pop, he says, "Don't leave me alone with Penny. Don't leave me alone. Whatever you do, don't leave me alone." Of course, Mabel and Pop go off doing whatever. She says something about fishing in the ice fishing. And Pop goes, "No, you said you were here in the summer." And she says, "Whatever." And they go walk off. And what happens? Penny and Lucky get left alone, and they start singing this song.
Just saying how romantic it is, and then when kind of Lucky just kind of like isn't, suddenly he's not being romantic, and then she kind of starts to pout a little bit and goes into this whole song about how he's not living up to her expectations, kind of thing. Yeah.
And so they come back, and basically the guy that Lucky beats for the orchestra conductor's contract comes to him and says, "Hey," one of the managers who says, "Hey man, we really want you guys together. We want you guys are a great act. We want you to stay here at the Silver Sandal Casino." And he offers them a bunch of money, but he's no. All I want is 25%. Pop convinces him, "No, you want 25%." Because 25, he's got a quarter, a lucky quarter. And this quarter is so lucky that he takes less money, which ends up being like $15,000, and ends up being 25% instead of more money because he's so lucky.
Yeah, this Pop character is kind of like one of them dudes that he's lovable, but you just kind of sometimes just want to punch him in the face because he's just so stupid. But he creates the drama in the movie. So he needs to be there.
And I just want to go back real quick. I forgot one thing. They end up in because of the snow and the winter and all that stuff, they end up in a snowball fight, and Mabel gets hit in the face with a snow. It was a pretty, after the romantic stuff between Penny and Lucky, that was kind of funny that they start a snowball fight with each other.
It was bound to happen when you see in a movie like this and somebody, takes way too long to throw a snowball. You know that person's going to move out of the way and it's going to hit somebody else.
Yeah. So that was I thought that was kind of, and then of course another kind of slow song, but another good song, which I really liked a lot, A Fine Romance. These two are like, we're such a fine romance, and they get stuck with like they're stuck with each other. Like they couldn't be stuck with somebody else. They're stuck with each other. That's a fine romance, kind of thing. Is like they couldn't end up with anybody else. They have to be with each other, And that's I love that song too. I mean, some of these songs in the middle of the movie are slower. Obviously the beginning songs are kind of snappy and a little bit peppy, but the middle songs at the New Amsterdam and whatnot are kind of slower songs, more plot-driven songs.
Yeah, they're a little bit more elaborate and less dance and more about showing off what the characters are feeling in the moment.
So back to where I was before. They made the deal to get to be a duo, a nightclub act at the Silver Sandals Casino, and this is when things start really heating up. They're in the dressing room, and they're really getting kind of hot and heavy here. And she plants one on Lucky, and he has lipstick all over his face.
Yeah, it was for that time that was just taboo. Oh my God, lipstick on his face, man. What have they been? They've been necking, as they called it back then, necking.
Yeah, and now this song, I mean, I liked it, and I liked the whole dance number that went with it. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that he would dress up as a clown, Bojangles of Harlem, and he dresses up with a polka dot jacket.
Well,
and face is all painted.
I was gonna say this is a very controversial scene because he's in blackface. It's very controversial.
Yeah, I mean, for him to be the Bojangles of Harlem, and he's a white guy in a song and dance, man, that was very kind of taboo. I mean, there's some like white people playing Indians and stuff like that, or white people playing Mexicans. But how often you get a white guy playing a black guy, and it be so just kind of out there, Bojangles of Harlem with the polka dotted jacket and the painted face and all that. That was really kind of a tough thing for them to be doing, but they get away with it.
I mean, for the time, nobody thought about it. I'm saying like for today's audience would have a lot of problems with that. See, it's pretty rough for today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They get away with it, and it's not a big thing.
I don't think they get away with it. I think people still have problems. I mean, another movie in this list, Gone with the Wind, people have a problem with that movie now. So there's a lot of these movies on this list that are very much of their time that people are starting to speak up about,
because Margaret was left behind, not left at the altar, but basically he left her behind. She has to come looking for him. So she finally catches up to him in New York. But this is when things start really getting kind of rough for old Lucky. His luck is starting to turn. No pun intended here. Also, the owner of the casino, Silver Sandal, because he's like, you know what? He realizes Pop is a sleight of hand with the cards, and he shows him how he got the ace and whatnot. And so he's like, hey, I want another split of the cards. He forces them, and Lucky's like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, I don't have a choice here. He's got 2 thugs with him. And then, so he's like, all right, I'll do the deal. I'll do the card. And he loses. He has to give Ricky Romero's contract back to the casino owner guy. So that's one thing that doesn't go back. And, of course, Margaret shows up at the worst time because things are really going great for Penny and Lucky. And then this is a big scene in the movie. Margaret and Penny meet with Lucky there, which you've seen this a million times in movies. We've seen this so many times. I mean, how many? I mean, you can
sure, I guess.
Do any movies come to your mind where the 2 women confront each other because they didn't know it, because the guy's kind of keeping it secret from the 2 women?
I mean, there's a lot of examples. To be honest with you, I'm not thinking about them to be honest, because romantic comedies are not my forte. They're not my favorite movies to watch because most of them suck. But I'm not I can't honestly come to mind to think of a movie that fits that scenario.
But we've seen it a dozen times.
Sure. The idea of the male that's seeing one girl while seeing another girl, and then at some point they run into each other. It's happened before a lot of times.
Yeah. And so, but you don't know where that has come from. Now we know that plot device has come from.
I'm not sure that this was the first movie that did it. I can't be for sure, but
1936. It's a long time ago.
Sure, but there's a lot of movies before then.
All right. So when Penny and Margaret confront each other, basically Penny realizes that Lucky's engaged to Margaret. And so she's going to try to spite him by sparking up a relationship with Ricky. And so now Ricky and Penny are going to get married.
Ricky Ricardo.
Ricky Romero.
I know. I like Ricky Ricardo. You almost said it earlier.
I know.
Ricky Ricardo. No,
I meant, you know what I meant? It does sound like that, but it's Ricky Romero.
Yeah.
So when they get to marry, they already have, they're going to get married this quick. Fast. I guess,
obviously Penny is pissed.
Yeah. Not having this whole thing. Oh, you had a fiance the whole time. How dare you? I'm going to spark up.
I'm going to marry this Mexican guy. I'm going to marry this guy on a whim.
Yeah. So then Lucky goes looking for, he tells Margaret, okay, hey, I'll talk to you later, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes looking for Penny. And they start talking, and she starts asking him about Margaret and stuff. And she says, hey, does she know how to dance? And this is another, this song's really, we have musicals this day and age, and I don't want to knock other musicals, but the songs really fit the script in this movie, where the songs in other movies, like, I got a poster behind me of The Greatest Showman. The songs just did not fit the script sometimes in that movie. It really was disjunctive with the songs and then the story of the film. But the songs fit the script in this, and that's why the songs mean so much in the overall storytelling. Not gonna dance. He basically says, I'm not gonna dance anymore because Margaret doesn't know how to dance. And he was dancing with Penny, and so he's gonna forget about dancing because he had so much good times with dancing and singing with Penny, and he's not gonna do that with Margaret. What do you think? That's pretty drastic, don't you think?
Yeah, he obviously loves Penny enough to get rid of something else that he loves. I guess that's good. Good on him, I guess.
And basically, so this leads us to the fact that Lucky can't. He can't, even though he's supposed to get married. He's engaged to Margaret. He can't live without Penny. He's gonna go tell Margaret that he doesn't want to get married to her, but something happens. She says to him, "I don't want to marry you," in a letter, and she says, "Open the letter, because I'm going to marry Charlie Shaw instead." Whoever Charlie Shaw is. we obviously we know Charlie Shaw.
I'm going to pretend that it was Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. So, and then there's this weird thing where everybody starts laughing, like out of nowhere. It's like this whole thing is like some big giant kind of joke in their eyes. I mean, was it funny? I mean, was this all funny to you? Yeah, I want to know. I mean, because this is cute.
I find it funny, man. I was in Lucky's shoes, and I was like, man, this ain't funny. Like
that's what I'm saying. But everybody's laughing. I'm like, what? Why is everybody laughing?
They're freaking crazy. I mean, this is people that are like, hey, I'll let you marry my daughter for $25,000. Like these are these type of people. They're weird, crazy, rich people. Like, yeah, they're gonna laugh at something like this. It's like the two old dudes from whatchamacallit, God, what's the name of that movie with Eddie Murphy and where he's a poor guy and then they make him rich. It's
he swaps places with Dan Aykroyd.
Trading places. It's like them people, man. Them rich dudes are crazy. Like I bet $1. You know, like the crazy rich people are crazy, man.
And so so he basically now knows that he's not going to marry Margaret, and Margaret's going to marry Charlie Shaw. So he goes back to Penny and said, Penny. And Pop and Mabel basically said, hey, Penny's marrying Ricky Romero at noon.
And now he's got to pull a Graduate on everybody. He's got to put you.
That's right. The Graduate. You're absolutely right.
Which is 30 years later, you know.
And then something weird happens. Pop and Lucky see a magazine, and they look at the pants in the magazine, and somehow it gives them an idea to steal Ricky's pants before he gets married. And so he's going to look like a fool when he goes to get married. And of course, once you know it, he comes looking for his pants. And those guys are trying to hide the pants. They got the pants. And then Penny's like, no, I don't want to marry you. You don't even have the right pants on. Because Lucky and Pop figure a way to convince her not to marry him based on the pants. I mean, what is going on here?
Only this movie would attempt this stupid idea. I mean, like I said, this movie, I don't know what it was going for, but it goes for some weird stuff. It's silly. It's very silly.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember this is 1936.
But it's still very, very silly for what it is. Yeah, it
is silly. And then we get more laughing. We got more laughing. Everybody's laughing.
Happiness.
Okay. Like, Jesus, it's like, okay, here, this is getting kind of weird. And of course, then we have the final finale, the dance number, Penny and Lucky dance. I mean, I think this is an innocent movie, Steven, and it's a fun movie with some really good musical numbers. It's not meant to be any kind of brain kind of overthink it. It is what it is. And the year of 1936 really, really tells you that it was just trying to be a fun, happy-go-lucky movie. And it turns out that there's some themes in it that have got to other movies decades later, like you said, The Graduate. So one of the things why we why we watch these movies and why they're in this book right here is Robert Osborne and TCM. The Essentials is what makes these films essential. And I think some of these themes that are in Swing Time, which you then go decades later, we see have been copied into other movies and some of the plot devices. But the songs themselves are really what stands out in this film. What do you have to say about what I just said, and and what's essential, even though you did say you don't think it's.
I don't particularly think this movie is one of my favorite. It's definitely lower in my favorites of this book, but if I had to say anything essential to it, I would say that it probably it's camera techniques and things like that of how you shoot dance scenes and dance numbers and stuff like that might have been an influence on other films moving forward.
And real quick, I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to ask you something. Do you or agree or disagree that Guillermo del Toro was influenced by this film with a specific scene from Shape of Water, the movie right behind me? Yes or no?
I'd have to watch Shape of Water again. I've only seen it once, so I'm not really sure what scene you're talking about. But
okay. I can't believe you can't think of the scene I'm talking about. There's a song and dance, a dance scene.
Yeah, but I'd have to watch it again. I haven't seen Shape of Water since like September or whenever it first came out.
December. So probably.
No,
December.
I saw it earlier than that.
All right, November maybe.
Yeah, because it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't.
All right. I think it resembles a scene late in the movie. The not gonna dance scene. I think it really resembles that scene a lot. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to get off on honestly. Finish what you were saying about.
I did basically said my piece on it. I mean, it's a movie that I could see how some people would really like it. To me, it just hasn't. Part of what makes these essential movies to me is they have to be movies that are timeless. And I find that this movie sits right in that time period, and watching it today, it doesn't hold up. It's not something that comes across as, being still, and it has a lot of things that not only its plot and its script being very contrived, but like we said, the blackface scene and stuff like that. Like there's just a lot of things about it that's just very dated, and it just doesn't hold up for me. So,
all right, well that's fine. I mean, you don't always have to like all the films, but they're in the book, and that was what the goal of this series is to talk about all the films. Yeah, and in my opinion, I think this film does have some redeeming qualities, and I think it's a film that I think people should watch if you like musicals. And I think that
I mean it's definitely got some redeeming quality. I mean, Fred Astaire himself is really good. I mean, for that time period, and I thought the acting is good. They're charming, and it doesn't feel like they're fast talking stage actors like you had a lot from that time. I think that's some of its biggest strength is the acting. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire are both phenomenal in the film. All right, Stephen, thank you once again. Where can you be found?
You can find me all over the place. Facebook, YouTube, Stardust, Movie Man 16, or search my name, Stephen Billings.
And you can find me, Dan Skipal, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And we got only 3 more episodes left, and season 1 of the 52 must-see movies is all over. Stay tuned. We got one big one and a couple smaller ones. So for Stephen and myself, good night.
Peace out.